What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Fallout 76 video on the channel. In today's video I'm going to be separating all the new 4-star legendary armor mods into 3 categories: the amazing, the good, and the don't waste your time category. There's been a whole bunch of other popular YouTubes like Angry Turtle doing tier lists for these mods, and I wholeheartedly disagree with them. For example, I believe the Angry Turtle video said that Chooo is an amazing S tier mod, and then showed a video of it barely working, only killing 2 enemies and then dying in the process of actually attempting to use it. He also listed some mods in very bad tiers, and they're actually pretty good. But anyway, here is a much better and more reliable list to use, based on my knowledge having completed well over 100 raids and farming a ton of these mods already, and actually using them a lot rather than just the other YouTubers' PTS experience. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. So let's start with the best new legendary armor 4-star mods in the amazing category. The first mod in the category is going to be Aegis. This is a power armor only mod. It gives you extra 50 resistance in both physical and energy, plus it gives you an extra 20 resistance for poison, cryo and fire. Now that applies for each piece you wear, so if you have a full set that gives you a total of 250 extra physical and energy resistance, and then 100 poison, cryo and fire resistance. It applies for both you and all your teammates within a 50 feet radius, which makes this perk absolutely overpowered. If your whole team is wearing a full set of Aegis power armor, that's a whopping total of 1000 extra physical and energy resistance, and 400 poison, fire and cryo resistance. This will basically make your team an absolute tank build for the Gleaming Depth raid. The next perk in the amazing category is Reflective. Again, this is a power armor only mod. It returns 10% of incoming enemy damage back to them, up to 50% for a full stack. Now it's not quite the same as the Reflective mod from daily ops that the enemies have. That version there is for NPCs, and it's not actually a mod, it's just a mutation, and you can't damage them whilst they have it active. Instead, with this power armor mod version, their attacks will still damage you, but at the same time they will also receive 10% of that damage back to them. So you take the damage that you normally would, but they get some too, up to 50% with a full set. Having said that, it's incredibly effective and there's never been a perk like this before. This is absolutely in the amazing tier. So that's only 2 mods in the amazing category. So now we move on to the good category. So we have Rejuvenators, which gradually restores the wearer and teammates' health and action points within a 50 feet radius. This is another power armor only mod. Now it is incredibly effective for staying alive in the raids and comes in very handy for crit based builds due to the AP restoration, but it's not in the amazing category as you don't really need any health regen at all if you run the Born Survivor and Team Medic perks at max level and just keep remembering to stim regularly. But it is handy for both health and AP regen overall. Next up is Rangers. This works for both regular armor and power armor. It means ranged weapons deal 5% bonus damage up to 25% on a full stack. The description really speaks for itself. It's great for a damage bonus, but will be put into the good category instead of amazing, because 5% per piece is a really small bonus, and you'll need to have a full set to feel any real difference. Next is Limit Breaking. This works with regular armor and power armor. Using it, each worn armor piece reduces the cost of crit hits by minus 10%, up to minus 50% on a full stack. This is specifically designed for people using VATS crits builds. Next up is Tankies. This works on both regular armor and power armor. You get plus 200 damage resist for 10 seconds while standing still, and up to 1000 with a full stack. Now this is quite good as it's a 4-star perk, meaning you can run Sentinels as the 3-star perk at the same time, which has more or less the same effect when standing still. So using a full set of Tankies Sentinels armor, you will basically take no damage at all when standing still. But it's only going to be in the good category for that same reason. It only works in situations where you have to stand still and doesn't work whilst moving. And in this game, only certain situations require you to stand still. Next up we have Bruisers. Now this is for both regular armor and power armor. Using it means melee weapons deal plus 5% bonus damage and up to 25% on a full stack. Now this one is good for melee builds, but similar to the Rangers perk, it's only going to be put into the good category instead of amazing, because 5% is too much of a small bonus and you need to have a full set on to feel any real gain. The last mod in the good category will be Runners. This works with both regular armor and power armor. Now using it, sprinting AP cost is reduced by 20% and up to 100% with a full stack. Now this is incredibly useful running the raids in the drill section if you're a fuel runner. It also comes in handy speed running pretty much everything else in the game like the expeditions or daily ops. Now I think Angry Turtle actually listed this in the lowest possible section of his tier list, but I completely disagree. There is a similar 4-star mod to this called Radioactive Powered, which also restores your AP, but that one barely works. The problem with that mod is it relies on rads to work, so if you're a full health build it doesn't work at all. So this mod is better instead. I'll explain more about Radioactive Powered when I come to it, but for now runners will sit in the good category. Okay, so now moving on to the don't waste your time category. First we have Choos. It only works on power armor and gives you a 10% chance for 500 damage and a bloodied mess effect when sprinting into targets, up to 50% on a full stack. Now I have absolutely no idea why anyone would waste their time with this mod, or in any situation would it come in handy at all. Now there are so many better 4-star mods to choose from, don't waste your time. Next up is Scanners. It only works in power armor and means that AP cost of VATS attacks is reduced by 5% with each piece and up to 25% on a full stack. This is a waste of time when you can use limit breaking instead as a 4th star and use plus agility mods or other AP refresh mods in the other stars. Next is Miasmas. This works in both regular armor and power armor. When using it, it means that when you are hit, a poisonous cloud harms nearby targets for 10 seconds. Now I wouldn't recommend this one guys, it's very situational as you also have to have a weapon or piece of armor that also deals poison damage, and the bonus you get is very little. Barely anyone in this game is using weapons that actually deal poison damage, and there's only a very small selection of things that output poison in this game in terms of armor, like Stranglerheart. So my opinion, don't waste your time. Next up is Radioactive Powered. It only works for power armor. When using it, you'll gain +2 action point regen at the cost of rads, and up to +10 A point regen with a full stack. Now as mentioned before, the problem with this perk is that it relies on rads, so it's a waste of time if you're a full health build and don't have any rads. It also won't work for bloodied builds as it will take away your rads. And another issue with this mod is if you run with more than one piece attached, you barely really notice any of the stackable differences. So don't waste your time. Next up is Sawbones. This works for both regular armor and power armor. When using it, your health regenerates slowly, +1 health per second, and +5 health per second with a full stack. This is not noticeable at all unless you're using the full set, and we already have the Rejuvenators mod, which has the same effect but far better. Don't waste your time. Next is Battle Loaders. It works for both regular armor and power armor. You get a 15% chance to instantly reload when bashing enemies, up to 75% chance with a full stack. This is arguably the worst of all the new mods in the game. I personally can't think of any situation in the game where you would want to bash an enemy instead of just pressing the reload button. If you're really getting that close up to enemies, you're going to be a melee build anyway and you won't need to reload. Don't waste your time. Next is Star Warts. This works for power armor only. It means power armor breaks 5% slower for owner and all teammates within a 50 feet radius, up to 25% slower with a full stack. Now this is totally unnecessary now that the raid is dropping hundreds and hundreds of repair kits, and you can use perks in luck to repair armor without wasting your 4th star mod slot. Propelling. This is a power armor only perk where movement and sprint speed are increased by +5%, up to 25% with a full stack. Now it's currently broken and has 0 effect, so don't waste your time. Alright, and that's it guys, I hope you enjoyed the list. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my choices, or if you can actually think of a use for something like Battle Loaders. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.